Well, greetings and good morning, business mathematics students. This is Mr.D, and this is week number 5 in our 8-week course in business math here at Norco College. This week we're going to be looking at annuities and mortgages, chapters 12 and chapter 14. I just want to remind you that you don't need to study everything in these chapters, but just what I identify in the study pages. I actually give you the sections that you should be studying. But to kind of recap, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here I am on the home page in Canvas, and just want to say last week we ended our second module yesterday, and of course you had a midterm exam that was made up of, I think, 25 questions. And so I just want to let you know I will be grading those over the next couple of days. There was a lot of fill-in questions on this exam. And so you had to do the work and show the work, and then I'll give you the answers to those. I know some of you seem to struggle with the check-in assignment on chapter 11 especially, and I highly recommend that you watch. If you did struggle with that you still have time to go back and make some edits, not to your exam per se, but if you want to redo any of the quizzes or any of the assignments, you're welcome to do that. But I do highly recommend that you use the tables. As we move into chapter 12, it's very, very similar to chapter 11. You're going to be using different tables for annuities, but you're going to be figuring out how many periods, and you're going to be figuring out what is the interest rate each time it compounds. So it's very similar. So if you're still lost on that, I highly recommend that you watch my video as I work through how to use the tables. I know a lot of you are adventurous and you wanted to use the formula and it just didn't go well for you. The formula is difficult. You still have to figure out how many times it compounds, so you're still doing half the work, but then you're doing a lot more work in the math itself. And most students, I'd say at least 60%, 70% do not get them correct using the formula. The tables are so much simpler. The tables are published. They're easy to find. They're pretty much what everybody uses in industry today. So I would encourage you to use the tables, but either way, it's up to you. Some of you mastered the formula, did a great job, but most of you didn't. So that tried, I encourage you to use the tables for chapter 12. Now, chapter 14 is a little different. There's also tables to use, but it's not the same thing. You're just looking up how long is your loan for a mortgage, and then what interest rate is your mortgage at, and that's going to figure out your principal and interest payment amount for that, for that loan. And then, in order to find out what is your total going to be, you have to add all the years and months up to get the total that you paid, and then you need to deduct the total paid from the total amount you borrowed, and that'll give you how much interest you paid. And what you'll find with mortgages is you end up doubling and even sometimes tripling the amount you borrowed because of interest, which is really stinks. So anyway, so this is what we're going to be looking at this week. So we're looking at chapters 12 and chapter 14. We're starting module 3 today, so this is the halfway point of our course. So I'm going to go ahead and select module 3, and that's going to bring you to our folder for this week's module. So again, you have a read me first. There's a welcome video, that week 6 video that you're watching now. There's a read me first and a help Sienna that you need to mark as done before you can do any of the coursework. So make sure you read those. It explains what annuities are. It explains mortgages. It also shows you how you can help Sienna in these same 2 areas. There's a study page on chapter 5. There's a study page on chapter 12. There's a study page on chapter 14 that include videos from me working out problems. It includes YouTube videos. It also includes the PowerPoint. So make sure you review those before you attempt to do any of the work. There is a formula sheet specific to chapter 12. Make sure you review that thoroughly, because there's a little bit of difference that you're going to be doing when it comes to finding the table factor. If it's a annuity due, you have to either add one. If it's a future value, or you have to take away one if it's a present value, or vice versa. So make sure you really look at that closely. You might want to review the book. I am going to have a Zoom session this Thursday going over how to do both of those things, as well as mortgages. And then, of course, your coursework for this week is your check-in assignment number 5. So you're going to be doing helping Sienna solve some investment questions about annuities, as well as she wants to buy some property to build a facility for her business. So you need to help her figure out how to save the money. And then, of course, you have a quiz on chapters 12 and 14. And then you have your third case study that starts this week. I'll be grading those from last week as well. And this one is do not forget inflation. So you need to figure out how much you're going to need in the future. You need to figure out how much inflation is going to be needed to be added to that. And now you're going to get a new amount for your future. And then you're going to do an annuity, or what we call a sinking fund, to save money for that annuity, or for that purchase that you want to make. So it's kind of a 3-step process. It isn't tricky, you just don't overthink it. I think most students really overthink it, and that's where they have the biggest problems. So anyway, so this is your your case study. So make sure first thing you're going to do is find out how much you're going to need in the future, and that's given to you. You need to figure out how much how much is inflation going to affect that? So that's going to give you a new higher amount that you're going to need because of inflation, and then you need to do a sinking fund to reach that higher inflated amount. So it's pretty much, like I said, a 2-step process. Anyway, that's your check-in or your case study. And then, of course, like I mentioned, you did have a check-in assignment where you're going to help Sienna, and then you also had a quiz. So that's pretty much it for week number 5. If you have any questions or concerns, make sure that you reach out to me or join me on our Zoom session this Thursday. We've been getting a pretty good attendance. I would say 6 to 10 students are joining me, and we're going through some worksheets. I don't actually do any of the work that's in the chapter. Actually, all the questions that I work on come from the chapter, but I don't do any of the check-in assignments typically or things like that. But I show you how to work through the problems, and then you take what I show you and you apply it to the check-in assignment and the quiz, and you should do quite well. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions or concerns. You can join me in my office hours or in the Zoom session. If not, you'll see me on video